Let's do a rapid fire.
Yeah. So like we'll go through these a little bit quicker, but we've got conference championship weekend this weekend. And of course, the college football playoff field and all the bowl games are going to be announced on Sunday. So Dan Wetzel from Yahoo Sports and the College Football Inquirer podcast says the top 4 teams in the college football playoff rankings this week: Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and USC, in that order, 1 through 4. He says they should be the 4 teams that make the playoffs. And this weekend's games should basically only be for seeding, since they're all playing in conference championship games, which is more than like Ohio State and Alabama, for example. Teams 5 and 6 are playing this weekend. So do you buy or sell that, Vince?
I sell it because if USC lose, I think they're out, because now you've got 2 losses, and now I think there's teams that are more deserving of it than
right.
USC.
But just to play the other side, there's 2 losses because they have played 1 more game than either Ohio State or Alabama. And that's Wetzel's point, is these guys are all playing 1 more game, so why should they be penalized for it?
Then don't.
I
play
realize
the game.
you hate USC and a lot of other people.
It has nothing to do with it. It has to do with they'll have 2 losses, and their strength of schedule, I'm guessing, would it be as good as Ohio State's? Because Ohio State's isn't going to be good either.
So. Yeah.
Okay, so it'd probably still be lower.
It might bump it up because they're playing Utah again, but yeah.
But if you lose to the same team twice, I mean, I'm sorry, you're out. And then I replace them with Ohio State. That's what I would do.
Yeah, so I largely agree with what Vince is saying. I think that Georgia, Michigan, and TCU has done enough. They had an undefeated regular season. I don't think that they should be knocked for having to play another high-end opponent potentially. But for someone like USC, I do think that this win is crucial for them because they do have the 1 loss, and it is against a team you're playing the same team again. So a team that is noticeably not as good as you on paper, right? And so I think if you can't beat the same team, or if you lose to the same team twice in one season, and there's a team like Ohio State with 1 loss, I do think that you deserve to bump out. But, again, the argument is if these games don't mean anything, then don't play them. Don't have conference championships. Don't let them affect things, because that's the main point. If you don't want it to affect you, then it really is supposed to be meaningless, then don't play the conference championships at all.
I'm going to laugh if the Big 12 screws itself again, because Kansas State could have been playing Notre Dame for the national championship in 2012 instead of Alabama. But what did they do? They lost. And you can go back. It was in the 90s. Kansas State was poised for an opportunity to play for a championship. What did they do? They lost the Big 12 championship game. That Big 12 championship game has, hurt a lot of different teams over the years. So it would be like, I'm not like anti-TCU by any means, but it would be kind of funny if it happened again. But I do, those undefeated teams, I completely agree with what he's saying. But I do tend to agree with what you guys are saying about USC, because it would be a second loss and it would be to the same team as well. So if you lose to the same team twice and those are your 2 losses, and you really haven't played much besides Notre Dame, UCLA, they didn't quite. So I don't think USC would deserve to be in as well. Like I said, Vince, I was playing devil's advocate on you there. Over under 1.5 conference championship game upsets this weekend.
I'm going to take the under here. I think there's going to be exactly 1. I didn't consider any of them action. I went with straight Power 5 conferences, the ones that have the most impact on the selection and bowl games and all of that good stuff. I have USC winning. I have Clemson winning. I have let's see. I have I guess my only loss, I'll put it like that, I have Kansas State beating TCU. I think that TCU has really, they're the 4th quarter team. They have a lot of these comebacks in the 4th quarter. I think Kansas State has something to prove. They already got beat by TCU once. I think they're going to do it. It's hard to beat the same team twice in one season, especially when you're considering 2 of the, the best teams in the given conference. So I think Kansas State gets it done this weekend, and that's my 1 upset.
Ooh, interesting. Well, I'm going to say 1 as well, so I'll say the under, but my upset's in the ACC. I think North Carolina has a shot at knocking off Clemson because of the matchups, okay? I think Clemson's secondary is not great, and I think that is the strength of North Carolina's offense. I think Drake May is going to have a bit of a coming out party in the ACC title game. You just got to pray, if you're a North Carolina fan, that your defense holds up against a not very potent Clemson offense. I think Clemson's ripe for the picking on this one. So I think North Carolina is going to get it done.
Yeah, I can't go against TCU, even though that one, Kansas State was up early in that game, and I actually bet that in the middle of the game when Kansas State was still up on TCU to win and made a nice little penny on that. People just keep, and myself included, because TCU has played these games, they're teetering. It's like you're going to lose at some point. All they've done is keep running the table. So I'm not going to pick against TCU, although I wouldn't be completely shocked if Kansas State wins that game, I guess, because of how, the way it played out the first time. And I agree. The only other game where I think, Utah USC should be close, but I do think USC will win. I think they're better here at the end of the season, especially offensively. I agree. I think the biggest chance is at North Carolina Clemson game. So I'm going to go under 1.5 upsets as well. Okay, so give me a 3-leg parlay for this weekend's conference championship games.
I got a good one cooking. I got TCU or blah 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 blah. Kansas State money line parlayed with a North Carolina
right away with that one. Okay.
North Carolina's covering the spread against Clemson, and I have USC covering the spread against Utah. So USC spread, North Carolina spread, and TCU money line or Kansas State money line. My goodness.
So give me that again, because you corrected yourself like 6 times. So what is the actual 3-leg parlay?
North Carolina to cover, USC to cover, Kansas State money line.
All right. Thank you. I like it.
All right. I'm not quite as daring as Jesse with his upset pick, but I will take North Carolina plus the 7.5, I think is the number. I will also take Georgia minus the 17.5 because I think they blow the doors off at LSU. And then I will take I don't even know if this one exists, but I'll take Caleb Williams for 3 or more total touchdowns.
Okay. All right. Stymie has Georgia plus 17.5, North Carolina plus 7.5, Michigan minus 16.5. Georgia should be minus 17.5. Yeah.
Because if you're taking Georgia plus, I'll take that too. You're going to win that one.
Yeah. Milton, hang on a second. I know I saw your super chat early. Yep, it's still in there. We'll get to it. I forgot it was in there, and it was a little edgy, so I was pushing it toward the end. Okay, so mine, I am going Kansas State TCU over 61.5. I am going Georgia LSU over 51.5. And I am going Michigan money line over Purdue. Now, you're not going to get a lot of mileage out of that Michigan money line over Purdue, but I'm playing it safe a little bit with that one. But as you guys saw, I finally won me a 4-leg parlay last week, and I cashed in pretty good. I think I doubled the money that I had in my FanDuel account when I cashed in on that.
That was nice.
Very nice.
That was nice. I have been on such a losing streak. I need something.
I was too.
I need something. I just need anything. I just need a win. I should just take Michigan money line. That's it. Just so I can get a win. It doesn't even matter. Watch Purdue will win.
Yeah, Milton says he has 2 of them super chats. I thought we got one of his in earlier, didn't we? Didn't we get one of?
I can search. I can search as you move forward, my friend.
So basically, his other super chat is Drew Pine leaving. Basically, Vanabla to Tommy Reese, I guess. That's why I put it up on the screen, but we don't have to say what he's saying. But is this a shot at Tommy Reese is what Milton wants to know.
It's a shot at him not going to be the starter. I mean, that's what it's a shot towards. I mean, I don't think it is necessarily anything to do with Tommy Reese, unless he blames Tommy Reese for going into the portal. And if that's the case, then sure. But other than that, I mean, is it personal? I don't think so. I think him and Tommy Reese have a pretty good relationship with each other. So I'm going to say that it's not personal, but I don't know that for sure. And so that would be going out on a limb if I said that. So to me, though, if I'm on that team, it feels like it's a big you know what to the team.
Yeah, I don't think it's a FU to Tommy Rees. We've seen their dynamic, their relationship. Tommy Rees has said that Drew Pine ultimately reminds him a lot of himself when he was at Notre Dame. And I think that that's a very good comparison on Tommy's part. But again, it just comes down to a guy loves to play ball and he wants to continue to play ball. He doesn't want to be a backup. He's got the taste that he can play ball. He just wants to continue to play ball as long as he can. That I think Drew Pine's a very smart and realistic guy. I think he knows that the NFL probably isn't in his cards. And so how can he maximize his time as a quarterback and playing football?
Yep.
That's going to a different school and getting his shot elsewhere. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I think he wants to play, and he's got 3 years to play rather than sit on the bench.
That's a big piece too. He's got his degree and he's got 3 years left now to go play somewhere else.
Exactly. 3 years to go play someplace. Why not? Why not take advantage of that? He's had an opportunity to live his quote unquote dream. He got to be the Notre Dame starting quarterback this season, and he got a taste of what comes with that, both the good and the bad. And if you can walk out of here with a degree, go play someplace else. I think that's what it's all about. And again, with the coaching staff being up front with him the way they do, I think that that's good that they were up front and let him know early. So this lets him get his name in the portal early. And there are a lot of guys who are already going in the portal. I saw that McNamara has already decided on going to Iowa next year from Michigan. So that was a quick decision.
Their offense just went from god awful to
semi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they'll have that quarterback. How about a little hoops? Double fill in the blanks. If the Notre Dame men's basketball team's upset of Michigan State Wednesday was blank, the women's upset loss to Maryland Thursday night was blank.
Take it away, Vince.
Okay. The first one is shocking. I sat there in that game against Michigan State, shocked at how that game played out. Notre Dame just outplayed them on both ends of the floor, and it was shocking, more from a defensive standpoint than from an offensive standpoint. And then I watched the women's game as well, and that was disappointing. It was back and forth the entire game. It was a well-played game on both sides. I was hoping the Notre Dame was going to pull it off, so it was disappointing for me. I really thought that they were going to pull that one off. And girl just made a good shot at the end of the game to win it for them. Literally at the buzzer, no time left when that thing went through the cylinder. And so it's disappointing. I was hoping that Notre Dame would still be undefeated.
Can I ask you this, Vince, since you watched?
Yeah.
Did one of the officials in that women's game, was it noticeable on TV that she really wanted to be part of the show?
No, I guess I wasn't watching that closely, so I don't.
Okay.
I kind of had it on as I was watching dinner, kind of a situation. So,
and I'm not blaming her for anything.
That wouldn't surprise me.
She was very, All right, Jess.
So I'm going to try here. I'm not good with the double fill in the blanks. Notre Dame's men's basketball team upset of Michigan State Wednesday was minor. The women's upset lost Thursday night was major. I say that it was minor because Michigan State has a couple guys out. Notre Dame plays well at home. That's even when they've been, a decently, teams that aren't necessarily as good, right, as some of the other teams that they've had over the last decade or so. So I thought that they would beat Michigan State. I didn't think that they would blow the doors off of Michigan State. So I would say that it's a little bit minor. I bet on them to beat. I bet on an IU Notre Dame parlay that night. I won a little bit of cash on that. So I'm not just, making stuff up. I had some money on the back of that. But yeah, I didn't think that they would essentially blow out Michigan State like that. I didn't think that Ryan would go unconscious in the first half and go 5 of 5 from 3 at one point. That's a big aspect of the game. So to me, the women's upset is major because I think that they are a better team than Maryland. It's on their home court. I think that there might have been a little, Bahama hangover potentially. There's other things that, it's hard to get back into the swing of things after being, in the Bahamas. You come back and you play a very solid ranked team. I just think that they weren't all there yet. If they played Maryland again in 2 weeks, I think it would be a completely different game.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Maryland had two athletes, Seller and Edwards is the one that ended up making the game-winning shot there at the end. She ended up with 31 points, but like they were athletically just different. They were, both fairly tall. They could, they were versatile. They could do some different things. They could slash a little bit, play inside and outside. They kept the ball in their hands most of the night, and they took their little Italian point guard and stuck her on the bench. It's like, you're the least athletic one out here. You're going to stay on the bench. You're not going to kill us in this game. And ultimately, their best player made the play at the end of the game. Now, Notre Dame, two of their best players in that game last night against Maryland, made some great plays as well. Citron and Miles. Sonia had another great game last night. Miles was, in and out of a little bit of foul trouble, but that inbound play that, that tied up the score from Miles to Citron was great. Tied it up at 72. They just couldn't quite, come up with enough defense at the other end. Two ranked teams, though, it's like that's the first ranked team Notre Dame has played this season. It went down to the wire. There were 10 ties and I think 15 lead changes or something like that. So, I mean, it was a great game. Now problem is you got UConn coming in Sunday, so it's going to get even tougher. So, really curious to see how that ends up. And and then as for the men, I was like Vince, I was completely shocked because, again, it's like they've been playing so close with these nobodies here up front, all these close games at the start of the season. They get beaten by St. Bonaventure. So, of course, what do? They go out and they beat a ranked team, Michigan State. And I know, like Jesse said, Michigan State was out without some guys, but Notre Dame is still without Marcus Hammond as well. And they're only playing 6 guys. They played 6 guys. And that's what's amazing. It's like, now if Cormac Ryan isn't completely unconscious the way he does, probably doesn't quite go to that same script. But the fact that the fact they were able to play 6 guys and beat Michigan State, it's one they needed. So it's a big win for them early. And hopefully they can kind of get some momentum going now, because now they start ACC play against Syracuse Saturday.
Well, and Cormac Ryan obviously scored the bulk of the points. He was absolutely, unconscious from the 3-point line, all of that. But, oh gosh, why his name is Nate Leshevsky. He scored 9. So, normally he averages almost 20 a game. So it's almost as they kind of flip-flop points.
Right.
So like I said, it wasn't even mostly the offensive side of things. They played some lockdown defense. And that is not the calling card at Notre Dame these days. At least it hasn't been the last few years. So that was, I mean, when they went up 20 in the first half, I texted my father-in-law, who's a Michigan State fan. He was at the game. I was at the game. And I said, hey, you guys are probably going to come back in the second half. It's going to be kind of an opposite halves situation. And Notre Dame played them even in the second half, which was shocking to me. And a lot of that was because of the defense.
All right, World Cup tomorrow. USA, round of 16. They face the Netherlands. If they go no farther, I'll start with you, Jess. Vince is with his soccer son in Indianapolis, but I'll let Jess start this one. If they go no farther, has this World Cup been a success for the United States?
Yeah, I mean, making it out of the group stage was enough of a success, I think, for this team. And that's, I think that the expectations were to get out of the group stage, but it's never easy to actually do it. You still have to do a lot of things. They still, had to play a solid game against Iran. They still had to put up a tie against England. And then obviously the game against Wales, they let slip away. That was also a tie. So I think if they make it past this round, it exceeds all expectations. But I think that they've already done that now. I think this is a big step for them after not making it 4 years ago. And I'm just saying that I'm going to be up early tomorrow, getting to a bar early and going to start at 7 a.m. Game starts at 10, but I'll be in full force with a couple drinks by 10 a.m. But definitely exceeded expectations. I don't know about you, Vince.
You're going 3 hours of pregame, my friend.
So we called them. A lot of the bars are opening at 5 a.m. So that means that people are going to have to be getting there at 5 a.m. to open at 5 a.m. So 7 was actually sleeping in a little bit, believe it or not.
Oh, to be young again.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it is a success because I think at the group stage that they were in, I think their group panned out the way people thought that it would, right? I think the USA was slotted to kind of finish second, and they did, right? I think it's a success that they got out. They did what they were supposed to do. That's great. If they win this one, then it's a monumental success, because I don't think anybody's really anticipating that Notre Dame is going to beat. I said it again. That USA is going to beat the Netherlands. I just don't see that being the case.
It just shows what a homer you are. Like, everyone's jingoistic.
Yeah.
They're going to cheer for the United States. Now we just know Vince
Right.
is just a flat out Notre Dame homer because he keeps substituting.
I am a huge USA guy. I love the Olympics. I've really enjoyed the World Cup. 2 of the games have been on while I was at work. And so I've had the game on in the background as I'm suspending the kids, but it's fun to watch. I think the United States team is fun to watch because they're so young and they play hard, man. It's fun to watch. And so, my son's coach sent everybody a message today. They're like, let's boycott tomorrow's game because we should be watching the USA game because their game's at 9:30. And if
you're at a soccer tournament and the USA is playing in the World Cup, your kids should be watching the USA play in the World Cup, right?
I don't disagree.
I realize
with you,
there's only so much time in the weekend, but yeah.
I paid good money to be here, Sean, I'm not boycotting any games.
I'm saying they should reschedule the tournament around the World Cup is what I'm saying.
Agreed. I agree.
Like, they missed the World Cup last time and there was all the uproar, and now they've got this, pretty young upcoming team right now. So to be where they are right now, I think that, if they go no farther, you can call this a success. And then the next World Cup 4 years from now, I believe it's in North America, right? Like,
I believe that's accurate.
Yeah. So, so that's like these younger guys, they'll be veterans by then. Like, that's kind of what you're building toward, I think.
Sure.
So you get to this point, I think you've got to be pretty happy. I don't expect them to be happy, but you'd come out of it again, I think, feeling pretty happy. So I think you can call it a success just where it is right now. Milton Fan, super chat. It's time, Vince. Now, I don't know exactly what this means in this context because he didn't say that, like, unless he came in and we were already starting up rapid fire, and that's what he was talking about.
Maybe. I don't know.
James with a super chat. Just want to say I love the show. I love that you added Jesse. He rationalizes everything out very well. Everyone, Vince has always been my favorite. Vince has a fan, a super fan with a super chat.
There's one.
Real quick before we wrap up, Deion Sanders. He's supposed to announce this weekend where he's going to be. Is he going to be at Colorado, Cincinnati, South Florida, or stay at Jackson State? Real quick.
Colorado.
I think Colorado has the biggest opportunity for him to make the biggest waves because they're terrible at the game of football. It is a Power 5, even though Cincinnati is headed to a Power 5 eventually. Mm-hmm. I still think Colorado is the best fit because I think he can do some damage in the Pac-12. It's not a great conference, in my opinion, contrary to what other people think.
I think so, too. Like,
yeah,
they've won a national championship at Colorado before. Now, granted, it's been a long time, but I think that
it's been a long time at Notre Dame, too. So,
well, that's true. Only a couple years, Colorado only won it a couple years after Notre Dame did, for that matter. So, it's a very good point.
I'm saying. And I will also say I am disappointed he's not going to Auburn. I was hoping for some prime in the SEC. He would have been ruffling feathers like crazy, and I was here for it. So
I've heard, again, like listening like to Dan Wetzel's podcast, the one he does with Pat Forty and those guys. They've talked about the fact that Deion is you're not just hiring a coach, you're hiring a celebrity. And Deion basically is going to do things the way Deion Sanders wants to do it. So maybe that's not a fit with what they're looking for down there at Auburn right now and some other places. I think you can get away with that at Colorado or Cincinnati or South Florida, though, because I don't think that they would mind having a celebrity coach who's going to give them a higher profile, especially Colorado in the Pac-12. And I agree. I think Colorado is a perfect fit for him because I think that when Colorado has won before, they have gone out to the West Coast and they have recruited the skill position players and gotten really good players from out there in the West Coast. And that was when they were in the Big 8/Big 12. now that they're in the Pac-12, I think that he could go out there and really make some inroads with recruiting. So I think that he could do a lot for them. Well, guys, we were originally planning on going 30, 45 minutes, and we went nearly 80 minutes tonight. So,
well, you know, my son got a good nap in over here while we were going, so it's good. Look at this.
That's
Look
good.
at this. I'll show it. He's just curled up right over here. So there you go.
Jess, Vince keeps trying to tell us that he is in a, some kind of pit there in whatever this motel he is. It sure looks a lot better in the background than what we had in Omaha, though.
I've stayed. Yes, that is the worst hotel I think I've ever stayed at.
I'm going to send you a video. It's deceiving.
I wish we would have had video from that place. But all right, guys. Well, this was our first Friday show, and again, we were planning on doing this before the Drew Pine news. The Drew Pine news dropped, and here we are. So thanks to everybody for stopping by tonight, and we'll be back next Friday. I don't know if we'll have breaking news going into the show like today, but we'll have something for you.
Seriously.
Hit that like button if you would when you're on your way out tonight on the YouTube channel, and of course, rate, review, and subscribe on your podcast channels. Have a great weekend. We will be back on Monday with IB Nation Sports Talk.